Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome once again to the finance of Critical Series, and the focus of our discussion is on trigonometry. Okay, if you notice sa libro ang ginagamit natin, we skip ng iba yung mga topics in order to para mahabol na ito ng ating klase about trigonometry. So we decided together with Sir Pop nag-klase sa ibang section to skip yung ibang lessons in order to discuss the topics about trigonometry. So we choose na is ma-focus sa trigonometry for the finals because the concept of trigonometry will be greatly needed para sa mga basic calculus. And we are hoping that this knowledge about trigonometry, especially for the topic in the next week na discuss natin will be greatly essential din sa mga discussion natin sa basic calculus in the next term. Let's proceed. Okay, this is introduction to trigonometry. So if you could see in this picture, all of this are related to trigonometry. And what is dominant here is the word trigonometric function. The trigonometric function will be the focus of discussion for this week. So let's start by trying to define what is trigonometry and know some details about trigonometry. So trigonometry is derived from a Greek word trigonon, which means three angles, and metron, which means measure. Trigonometry is a branch in mathematics which deals with triangles, particularly triangles in a plane where one angle of the triangle is 90 degrees. So we are referring here as right triangles. Triangles and sphere are also studied in spherical trigonometry. So there is that separate branch of trigonometry na ang ginasabihan naman is about spherical mga triangles. Trigonometry specifically deals with the relationship between the sides and the angles of a triangle. That is on the trigonometric function and with calculation based on this function. So this is the focus of discussion for this week, which is about functions. And all of these functions will be used sa ating next topics. This concept will be used sa ating sunod na mga discuss. So as a simple history, the origin of trigonometry can be traced to the civilization of the ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia and in Indus Valley more than 4,000 years ago. So some experts believe that trigonometry was originally invented to calculate sundials, a traditional exercise in the oldest. So the first recorded use of trigonometry came from a Hellenistic mathematician, Hipparchus circa. So despite hindi siya nag-invent ng trigonometry because siya ang gamit unang-una din sa trigonometry. So he was considered to be the isang iba ng mga mathematicians as the father of trigonometry. He is the one who compiled the trigonometric table using the sign for solving triangles. So there are lots of mathematicians also, like Aryabhata, Brahmagupta, Ivan Minos, and Al-Kashi, who made significant contribution in the field of trigonometry. Just a simple sort of history and concept about trigonometry now. What are the important knowledge, important nga ideas, mathematical concepts na kinanglan niyo mabalaan about sa para mas maintindihan natin ang trigonometry. So first, we should be able to know kabalo ka mo kung ano ang angle. So medyo aware mo kami siguro kung ano ang angle. Angles are formed by two rays or lines that begin at the same point or share the same endpoint. The point at which the two rays meet or intersect is called your vertex. An angle is a standard position when the vertex is at the origin and the initial side is the positive axis. Okay, next we have the right triangle. A triangle in which one angle is equal to 90 degrees is called a right triangle. The side opposite to the right angle is known as your hypotenuse. If you are going to look at this triangle here, you have here the right angle, and the one opposite here is what we call the hypotenuse. So in the triangle presented here, AC is our hypotenuse. The two other sides are known as the legs. So which means that AB in triangle and BC are the legs of the triangle. So in general, trigonometry deals with right triangle. So now we have this Pythagorean theorem. So if you could see the internet and if you libro, they are using the term Pythagoras theorem, which is named after its inventor, which is Pythagoras. So the basic trigonometric functions can be defined with the ratios created by dividing the length of the sides of a right triangle in a specific order. So the label hypotenuse indicates na change that refers to the longest na sides ng mga right triangle. So, ano ang ginastate ng Pythagorean theorem? In any right triangle, the measure of the square whose side is a hypotenuse is equal to the sum of areas of the square, whose sides are the two legs. So, in this triangle, we have AB squared plus BC squared is equal to AC squared. So, I'm sorry for the wrong spelling para sa adjacent side. So we have next we have trigonometric functions of any angle. The trigonometric functions can be defined using the measure of the sides of a right triangle, but they also have a very useful definition using the coordinates of points in a graph. First, let the vertex of the angle be at the origin. So, sanahan mo kagina, ara sa dapat ang mga vertex ara sa origin. Kaya dapat ang mga initial side should be at the positive side ng mga x-axis. So, ang mga terminal side, ang isa ng mga side ng triangle, amo na siyang rotate inverse ng mga graph. Then, kung sa diin siya mapundo, mo na siya ang last na posisyon, ang that is your terminal side. So, we have this trigonometric functions of any angles. So, ano ang mga trigonometric functions? So, we have the sine, we have the cosine, we have the tangent, we have cotangent, secant, and cosecant. So, kung nakita niyo diri, we have hypotenuse as the largest. We have the opposite. Kung hamba kita opposite side, that should be opposite sa mga angle. So, if this is your angle here, the opposite is this one. Then, ang next din side is your adjacent side. However, if ang imo being angle, ari ang gina-refer ng angle, then this will be your opposite na, and this will be your adjacent. So, take note kung paano i-identify ang opposite kay adjacent side of your triangle. So, ang opposite is opposite ng pinaka angle. So, we have the sine. So, sine, we have opposite over hypotenuse. So, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine. Ang cosine is your adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So, tangent is adjacent over opposite. So, take note nga, ang sa babaw, kung sa dalong, yung naka-align, are opposite ng sinangaduma, reciprocal. Opposite over adjacent, adjacent over opposite. Adjacent over hypotenuse, ang second term is hypotenuse over adjacent. For sine, opposite over hypotenuse, for cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. However, mayroon kita isa ka mnemonics na ginagamit in order to medyo mas hapos sa atin na matandaan. kung ano ang mga trigonometric functions of the angle, so kung ano lang yung mga formulas. So that is S, we have SO, S-O-H, SO, then C-A-H, that's ka. C is to, towa. C is cow. S is second is sha. And C or cosecant is ko. So we have so katowa for sine, cos, and tangent. It is so katowa. And then we have from halin sa cotangent pakadto sa cosecant, we have cow shako. So katowa, cow shako. So take note, medyo amo lang natin tandaan kaya para masapos sa atin. We have so katowa, cow shako. Signs of trigonometric functions. The opposition of a terminal side determines the sign of the various trigonometric functions of that angle. So, kung nakita ninyo, we have an initial side sa yung mga angle dere. And then yung mga terminal side could be anywhere sa yung mga graph. So, man depende ang mga signs ng mga trigonometric functions. Hindi nakalocate ang mga terminal side. So the position of the terminal side determines the sign of your trigonometric function of the angle. So, anong gusto nyo sinin? So, if ang imong terminal side is ari diri sa first nga quadrant, you have tanan-tanan ng function should be positive. So, anong mga functions na gina-refer diri? You have sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. Tanan na, ang answer should be positive. However, kung mo naman yung angle is diri mga terminal side sa quadrant 2. So, kung ara sa quadrant 2 ang mga terminal side, so, this sine and cosecant will be positive. Ang ibang nga functions will be negative. So, basta ara ka sa quadrant 2, sine and cosecant is positive. So next, we have in quadrant 3, ano ang positive? Quadrant 3 positive ang tangent, cos, cotangent. And sa quadrant 4, we have cosine and secant ang positive. So ang mula nang gin-refer ng positive, kung ang mula nang ginhambang ng positive, ang bundle ng function will be negative. So, medyo budlay sa tandaan sa quadrant 1, tanan ng function positive. Sa quadrant 2, sine ang positive, sine cosecant. Sa tangent 3, sa quadrant 3, tangent cos, cotangent. And for quadrant 4, cosine cos, secant. So, I have also one mnemonics needed in order to better memorize this one na mabalaan nyo kung ano ang sign. So, kailangan mo isang plus star dali kung ano ang positive sa sinang quadrant, ano ang negative sa sinang quadrant, but I am going to present sa inyo kung paano siya masapos i-identify. So, we have take note only of the three main functions. So, ano ang three main functions? We have sine, cosine, tangent. So, muna natin yung three main functions. Sine, cosine, tangent. So, take note nga, for the first quadrant, we have all. Next, for the next quadrant, we have S, which is sine. Then, sa itong third quadrant, we have T kay tangent na di ang positive. And then, sa itong third quadrant, we have C or cosine. So, this refers only sa itong three major functions, sine, cosine, tangent. So, take note lang kung ano ang pares ng mga major nga function sa dalong. So, anong pares ang sine sa dalong? So, ang pares ang sine is cosecant. Ang pares ng tangent is cotangent. Ang pares ng cosine is secant. So, kung positive na siya, ang mga major function, positive na ng equivalent. Positive na yung reciprocal. So, paano siya mahapos i-memorize? So, take note lang, we move sa counterclockwise na direction, and then we have all students take calculus. All students take calculus. So we have all for first quadrant, but in all the positive. Next, we have student. Student is letter S. If you go to that is sign. Sign. Kasi anong opposite ng sign? Opposite ng sign is cosecant. So positive na sila dua. Next, take. Take calculus letter T. So that is tangent. Ang opposite ng tangent is cotangent. Next, for the fourth quadrant, calculus letter C. That is representing cosine. So ang opposite ng cosine is secant. So mula na masap ko sa ating duwa nato ni Monique sa take note natin. We have so, ka, towa, kao, shako, and we have all students take calculus. Tandaan natin, una is kung paano identify ang formula for sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. And this time is kung ano ang nga sign for the different quadrant. Next, ang nga importante gid knowledge sa kinahanglan ni mabalaan is the conversion of angle. So may ara kita for subong lang niya nga discussions, may ara kita duwa ka systems of measurements na ginagamit, that is degree and radian. So radian is equivalent to kung may ara ka values ng degree, multiply mo lang by pi over 180. Same also with the degree, the reciprocal lang radian times 180 over pi. So, take note lang sa simple na formula for the conversion. So, we have example. Find the value of each of the 6 trigonometric functions for the illustrated angle theta and the figure with the terminal side contains -4 and -3. So, ang imo kung terminal side, nag-intersect sa sinong point is -4, -3. So, this is your terminal side. So, now, ang ginapapamita sa atin are the value of the trigonometric functions. So, kung magkambaka, value of trigonometric functions, automatic na siya. So, sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cos, cotangent. So, we have first, sine. Sine natin, to take note danay. Take note natin ang atong point. Ang point natin is ara sa third quadrant. So, take note. First, unahon natin kung ano ang sine. Diba? All students take calculus. All students take calculus. Sa third quadrant, ganito natin ang take. Ano lang ang positive? Butin yung tangent. Kaya ang iyang opposite is cotangent. Amo lang ang positive. So, take note. Positive ang tangent, positive ang cotangent, and then ang tanan niya function will be negative. Matik na. Okay? Hindi ka na magtala sa mga sign. Butang muna na dayon. Next, we have sine. Sorry na sa sine. Opposite over hypotenuse. So, take note na ang gina-refer natin is referring sa atin niya x-axis. So, we have theta diri. So, ang opposite natin, kung pila na din na value, 3. So, 3 mga dito punta. So, we have 3 diri. And then, if we solve sa ating hypotenuse, so, kung na-solve kita, we have 3 squared plus 4 squared, square root natin, which will be equal to 5. So, 5 ang ating hypotenuse. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So, ang mga siya magpapita sa ating Pythagorean theorem para makaano ito ng values ng hypotenuse. So, now, meron at values ng hypotenuse. Pwede na natin makuha ang values ng ating mga trigonometric functions. For the sine, we have opposite over hypotenuse. That is 3 over 5. 3 over 5, so that is -3 over 5. So, okay na ito sa for sine. For cosine, cosine is ka. So we have adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent natin is negative 4. Negative, or 4, I mean, 4 over 5. 4 over 5, that is negative ang sign. So we have negative 4 over 5. So okay na ito din. Next, we have tangent. Tangent is, we have 3 opposite over adjacent. So we have 3 over 4. Next, for cotangent, we have adjacent over opposite. Adjacent over opposite, we have 4 over 3. Next, for second, siya, ko. So we have so katawa kaw siya. So that is hypotenuse over adjacent. Hypotenuse natin is 5 over 4, and we know a negative ang second. Second, ko, which is sa ibang ginagahambag na choka para hindi sila matalang. So katawa kaw siya, cho, so or ko, we have hypotenuse over opposite, so that is negative 5 over 3. So kung tanawon mo, bisan wala ka kagina, nag-assign niya daan sa sign sa gamit ang mnemonics na all students take calculus. Medyo mabalaan mo lang kay automatic mo lang divide mo lang sila based on yung formula. However, kung wala nakabutang ang point there, which is negative 4, negative 3, medyo alanganin kita, medyo magudayan kita. Especially if the angle or the triangle is not stated sa, or wala na present sa aton nga coordinate axis. So that is why kinahanglan natin magbutang sang sign nga positive sig negative. So that will be helpful katama sa inyo. That is, so katawa kaw siya ko, and all students take calculus. Now we will have the reference angle. So given a non-acute angle and standard position that lies in a quadrant, reference angle is the positive acute angle formed by the terminal of the original angle and the x-axis. So we have reference angle, kung nakita niyo diri, we have kung nakita niyo diri, we have the reference angle na ito yung discuss. Reference angle is starting sa ating terminal side. So, ang mga original angle should start from the initial side. So, naghalin sa initial side yung mga original na angle, yung pagtaon ng mga reference angle. Sa reference angle, halin sa endpoint yung imong terminal side, madrop ka lang isa ka line. Vertical line pakatusin mo ang x-axis. So, halin sa endpoint dari. So, that is this one. And then, amuna ni dayon ng mga ginapamita nga angle. This one, madrop ka vertical. So, we have, this is your terminal angle. And for this one, this will be your terminal, or the reference angle. Reference angle, yun ito. So, we have reference angle. So, paano natin itong itaon ang values ini? In this type of question about reference angle, dari natin magamit din ang mnemonics na all students take calculus. Wala nakapresent kung ano mga sides natin. But we will know kung ano ang mga signs niya bisan wala nakabutang ang mga coordinates. So if we are going to express this in terms of the reference angle, so we have cosine 150. Cosine 225, and cosine 315. So, muna siyang given, express mo kuno in terms of reference angle. So, we have, first, for the first one, we have negative, or the cosine 150. So, diin ang aton niya ang terminal side. Ang aton terminal side is dara sa quadrant 2. So, all students. So, students lang. Buti yung sign lang positive. Automatic cosine will be negative. All students. So, students is representing sign. Cosine is negative. So, that is negative cosine, then butang mo lang din yung mga nga reference angle which is 30. So it is negative cosine 30. Next, tangent 225. So we have to think sa ating mnemonics which is all students take. So third quadrant, kaya sa third quadrant ang ating terminal angle, so we have positive ang tangent. So positive, copy lang, tangent, then ang ating terminal angle which is, or ang ating reference angle, which is, we have, kung i-drop natin dito, we have 45 na terminal angle, ang reference angle. Next, we have sine 315. Sine 315, so we have all students take calculus C, cosine ng positive degree. So we have cosine. So both ninyo negative ang sign sa ating fourth quadrant, then copy ang reference angle. So kabalo ko medyo naguluhan pa kung paano yung sign nagkali ng 30, din nagkali ng 45, din nagkali ng 45. So now, i-plus tayo natin kung di na sila nagkali. So we have, take note kada permi ang mga angle na gina-represent yung mga axis. For this one, we have, kung initial side, but this is 0 degrees. This one is 90 degrees. Ang atong third quadrant, this is 180 degrees. This one is 270 degrees, ang panaog. And then, kung makadungka, which sa lambot, dito sa punta, this is 360 degrees. So, take note of the angles. So, kaginang, yun para memorize ko sa inyo, mnemonics. We have, so, katawa ka siya po, we have all students take calculus para sa sign. This time, kinanglan nyo man, i-memorize ang 0, 90, 270, and 360 degrees. So, 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360 degrees. So, we have, paano subong natin mabalaan ang 30? So, this is, ano gani? 0, 90, 180. So, this is 180. 180 minus ang atong angle ng 150, that is 30. So, muna siya nga meron kita diri, 30 nga angle. 30. Next. Take note nga nagahalin lang kita sa aton nga angle nga ara sa x-axis. So, ang importante lang diri is di 180 kag 360 degrees. So, we have ang ato nga angle nga original is 225 degrees. Paano mo ko ang 45? So, 225 minus 180. 225 minus 180, that is 45. Next, for the next na ito nga angle. Ang given nga angle is 315 degrees. So, kung i-drop natin gani, hamba ko, i-drop natin pakadto sa, mag-drop ito sa line pakadto sa ating x-axis. So, para siya sa atin nga dari nga side. So, this is representing 360 degrees. 360 degrees minus 315, that is 45 degrees. So, that are the essential knowledge na kinanglan nga balaan natin sa trigonometric function of angle. So, I do hope na medyo matandaan pa natin ang mnemonics na kinpresent ko because that will be essential para sa next natin ng mga discussion. Thank you everyone. Stay safe and God bless.